Hi guys, welcome to my fabulous world. Another day, another opportunity for us to connect. I'm supposed to be happy, but I'm quite sad today. Yes, I am sad. I just watched a video that actually made me so sad to realize that we haven't made much progress 30 years down the line in our democracy. I just want you to watch the video and then we can talk afterwards.
Which number plate? You're driving what now?
I'm driving GP.
GP.
Yes, sir.
Why are you driving a GP?
I was just in the garage. I was just being sent to come and offload. That's all from box.
So you are not allowed to drive the South African registration.
You know what, ne?
Yes, I'm sorry for that.
You sorry for what?
I will never.
Don't drive those trucks because if
My man, I'll cut your balls now. You understand me?
Yes.
I said I will do what?
You cut the boss.
Your balls.
Yes, sir.
You're supposed to come out of the truck now.
Yes, sir.
You
Yeah,
must go with that road. Go straight. Don't turn, Baba. You will go straight.
leave this truck like this. You have to get
Go straight. Leave the key inside the truck.
All right. Okay.
Must go there. You leave the key inside. Come here. Fast. 2 minutes. I want to see you. Run, Baba. Run. 2 minutes.
That video made me very sad. I don't know how you feel. And you may be sitting there and asking, what does that have to do with our democracy? Well, 94 we thought was a turnaround. We thought we had defeated apartheid. But actually, what I see on that video is confirmation that in fact apartheid, the agenda for apartheid has won. Because apartheid was not just about black and white people. It was also about dividing black people according to ethnic groups and nationality. And so that agenda of dividing us has succeeded. You know, apartheid has succeeded so much that it has made us almost hate ourselves and almost glorify or affirm white supremacy. Why is it that our people feel so comfortable to confront a black foreign national, but none of them would ever confront a white foreign national, or a Chinese foreign national, or an Argentinian foreign national? In fact, when something that's wrong or that we don't agree with is done by a foreign national, it's no longer about what they did, it's about their nationality. But if it's a white person, even if they've done something untoward that we don't agree with, their nationality is silenced. Just look at that guy who's been really humiliated, bullied, simply because he's Zimbabwean. What they did to that guy is exactly what white people did to us during apartheid. That's how we were treated during apartheid. Our brothers were treated that way. And now here we are. We are doing it to other nationalities. And we don't do it to nationalities that are not African. That is self-hate in my view. And we've got to ask ourselves, why? You know, if that which happened to that Zimbabwean brother was done by a white person to a South African black person, there would have been such an uproar. We would have called it names. Twitter would have gone abuzz. And it would have been the highest level of crime that black people would call it. But we do it. We do it. And we think it's okay.
So, Prof, what do you say with the argument that says black people have a right to be angry, they don't have jobs, and seeing a Zimbabwean driving trucks in South Africa infuriates them even further.
Why do you get only infuriated when it's a Zimbabwean brother? Why are you not infuriated by Argentinian who's got a job in a university and they're not even the most qualified person, and there are black people who are more qualified than them? Why don't we see black people being outraged? And for me, it's that selective rage
Yes.
that is problematic, because in many ways it is discriminatory. It is discriminatory, and the worrying thing is that it follows the apartheid formula, because the apartheid formula put the African right at the bottom. You will never see people do that, our people do that to any other race except to the African. And that's self-hate for me. It's self-hate. It's really problematic. We cannot allow that. And yet we complain. We complain about white supremacy or the dominance of white people.
But we feel it.
We feel it. We've internalized what apartheid wanted to achieve. And I think until we can stop that, then we can forget about racism. We can forget about ending racism. We will never end racism as long as we treat each other that way. And I mean, what is this obsession with Zimbabweans? I mean, there's this idea that you've got to target Zimbabweans. Nobody ever says, are you from Sudan, from Uganda? It's almost like you must chase Zimbabweans away. You know? I think we've got to be ashamed of ourselves, really. If we cannot do that with other nationalities who are not from the continent, then we should know that we cannot do it with other people who are from the continent. It's self-hate. We are enabling white supremacy, and we should know that that's worse than apartheid. And that's why I'm angry, because I don't see it only there. I see it at universities. I see it with pronouncements that people make on Twitter. I mean, people are so angry at Dr. Tabane that he's a professor. But nobody is angry that Mary Metcalf is a professor.
Who's Mary Metcalf?
Mary Metcalf is the former MEC of Education in Gauteng. She doesn't have a PhD. And she's a professor. And people will say, well, she knows this, she knows that. Who said JJ doesn't know anything?
Yeah.
So there is this thing. So if it's a black person...
White people cannot be questioned.
They cannot be questioned. So Thuli gets dragged every year for the fact that he's got a professorship. And she doesn't have a PhD. Do you know that at least Thuli has got a master's degree? There are white people who don't even have a master's degree. Some of who failed honors degrees. I won't mention names in this case. And they're professors.
Yeah.
And because they're white, they can get away with it. Because they're white, it's assumed that they're experts in their field.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that you don't like JJ's way of doing things doesn't make him inferior, doesn't make him not Professor Matiba. The fact that you don't like Thuli's approach to things doesn't mean no university can appoint a professor. And I want us to have an episode where I talk about professorships, and it must be live, and you can ask me questions. There's something about the fact that black people have to pass the highest standard ever.
Yes.
And white people, there's no standard. Anything goes.
I was going to say, if Thuli and JJ have to be questioned. Maybe people have concerns about them getting professorships without PhDs. Then it should be consistent. Everyone should be questioned.
course.
Black, white, Indian. It shouldn't just be black
Of
people
course.
who are questioned.
Of course.
If now there's investigations that have to be done,
I mean,
let them
it's
be applied
crazy.
across.
It's crazy. Who's going to investigate JJ's professorship?
Mm.
I mean, who's going to do that? There are so many white people who don't deserve professorships, who have them. And they're sitting pretty, they know that nobody can challenge them because they're white. And my view is that I agree with them. And nobody actually should be challenging JJ and Thuli. And I'll explain why when we have the episode on that. But the issue is that we are our own enemy.
Yes.
We are our own enemy. Even when someone qualifies, it is black people who will find fault with you. A white person, nobody finds fault with them. You already know as a black person who qualifies when you get into the job. I mean, the only people who get cancelled on Twitter are black people. But really, for me, the poor people who are trying to make a living for their families, the guy who's driving a truck, this guy is not committing crime. He could be, but he's not. And he's being punished. Not because he's illegal, not because he's committing a crime, but simply because of his nationality. How disgusting. It's just like my uncles were tortured simply because they're black, not because of anything, not because of any crime. I think that's disgusting. We fought against our brothers and sisters who were tortured when they were trying to make a living for their own families. We should know better. Black South Africans, we should know better. I know there are people who don't want us to talk about race. When you talk about race, they say we are obsessed with race. But we've got to call this what it is, because no white person gets confronted that way. And I'm not saying white people should be confronted that way, but I'm saying no human being should be confronted that way. If confronting that way is okay, then we've got to do it to everybody. We've got to do it to everybody. This should not happen. Not us. Not by us. We as black South Africans should know better, because we know better. Well, that's my message today. I hope you hear me. And probably some of you are sitting there and say, well, I'm not that guy. I guess what I'm doing is challenging each one of us. Every time you want to criticize, every time you want to call someone out, ask yourself, would I do this the same if this were a white person? If you wouldn't, then don't do it. End of story. Thank you very much. Be yourself, be good to yourself, and do yourself. See you tomorrow.